Okay, guys, sorry. Welcome back. My phone completely just slipped out of my hand. I do not have a handheld camera holder yet. I'm working on it, but for right now, I am just holding own my phone with my own hand. So it slipped, but welcome back. Thank you for joining me for part two. What I was continuing to say was the lack of support that I would get from her was just very apparent. And I noticed that it was very different with my brother when he was in sports, and he's still in high school. But ever since he was a little boy, and playing baseball, and I think that was the only sport. Yeah. So like when he was in baseball, and she would go to all of his practices, all of his games, even until like present day, like she still goes to all of his baseball games at the high school. And I don't remember my mom going to a single cheerleading event of mine, a single football event where I would be cheerleading, a single basketball event where I'd be cheerleading. She never went to one. And so I just found that really, like disheartening. Obviously, I would have loved to have her there. I invited her every time. I told her every time when an event was, and I would look forward to seeing her in the stands, in the stadiums, and it would just be my father. And bless my father, he's always been an angel in my life, and he picked up a lot of the slack. So I touched on 3 topics so far with making the decision to disengage with my mother, and that is realizing the lack of support, constant I guess scrutiny, or like just constantly making me feel bad for my dreams and for my goals in life and what I wanted to pursue. And the first one was oh goodness, what was the first one? I can't quite remember, but if you were just tuning in, I would watch part 1 because I did go over it. And sorry, I didn't write any notes. I kind of just jumped into making this video because I just really felt the need to just record. So moving on to number 4, I think would be her constant victimization of me not reaching out to her. Mind you, that she never ever reaches out to me. And then when she does reach out to me, it's always the same kind of introduction, like, hey, I haven't heard from you in a while. Like it really makes me sad that you don't reach out to me. And then she would just write this whole long paragraph about like how sad it makes her that I don't reach out to her. And I tell her that, Mom, I'm sorry. I do think about you a lot. And I'm sorry, like, that I haven't picked up the phone to physically call you or text you, but that doesn't mean that I don't think about you. And it doesn't mean that I don't care about you. I just like have been really busy, just like trying to make my life come together. And she wouldn't even say anything like, okay, I understand. Like, yeah, I'm really proud of you for putting your life together or anything. Like, she would never say anything like that. She would just be like, well, can you just like make the effort? Can you just like call me? Like, it'd be nice if you could like text me and just say, hey Mom, like, how are you doing? And it's like, well, when was the last time did you do that to me? You know, like, I'm the daughter, first of all. And, you know, like, it definitely goes both ways for me in my eyes. Um, I just, I just feel like mothers and fathers, they should always set the example of the kind of relationship they want to have with their children, because that relationship later on gets reciprocated back to them when they're older. And so if you don't set the right kind of foundation for a healthy relationship with your children when they're young, they're not going to really reciprocate that when they're older. And for me, I know to reach out to my mother, but then it's like, again, I don't want to hear the victimization or like the negativity. You know, like, I've reached out to her before and I would say, like, hey mom, like, how are you doing? Like, you know, how's your weekend going so far? Because she works Monday through Friday, so I text her on the weekends because I know that during the weekday it can just be a lot to get back to somebody. And so, you know, I'm thinking ahead of time, like I'm gonna text her on the weekend because I know that she will be, you know, running errands and like at home, so like she'll have just more time to be able to respond and things like that. So I'm always taking into consideration her time and and her schedule. And so and then and so like I feel like that kind of energy isn't reciprocated back to me when she would text me. Sometimes just be like at a really bad time, and like I literally don't have time. I'd either be like at work or like on my lunch break even, and it's like I don't really want to spend my whole lunch break having a back and forth conversation through text. If you want to call me, that's something different, because a phone conversation goes by so much quicker than a texting conversation. I mean, it's just so drawn out, you know. And like on my lunch break, I only get a 30-minute lunch break, so I don't really want to spend my whole lunch break explaining everything that's going on in my life. I'd rather do it on a Saturday or a Friday evening or a Sunday. And, you know, even then I would love to just like pick up the phone and, you know, have a conversation with you over the phone rather than, I need some water, rather than texting. But, you know, it was always just like that kind of dynamic in the conversation where it was always me to blame. And whenever I would bring it up to her, like, well, how come, you know, I wouldn't even say how come. I would say like, well, you know, you can reach out to me too. Like, I'm here. And she wouldn't even like really acknowledge that. She would just say like, well, I can't like really remember like her excuses right now, but it would just be something kind of like childish, I guess, you know? I don't know why I'm getting so red. I don't know, maybe it's this chair I'm sitting in, but like ever since I sat in it, my scalp has just gotten so like invigorated. Like, I don't know, I'm gonna move. Very weird. Maybe I'm allergic to the fabric. I don't know, but yeah, I'm gonna move. So it was always just like recurring things like that. And I did a lot of researching and watching a lot of videos on narcissistic mothers, and it's a lot of these kinds of scenarios that I've given examples of. And and it's just like really sad, because I look at other mothers and other daughters in their relationships, and they just have really, really nice, balanced, peaceful relationships, you know, and they're like full of laughter, and like the mother smiles at the daughter, just like so happy, like to be with her, and like just so proud of her, you know, just like so proud of her. I remember specifically this one, like it's like a flash every time I think of like a really good mother and daughter relationship. I always think of my childhood friend and her older sister. They had a really great relationship, and they still do to this day with their mother. And I remember I'd go over there after school, and I just remember the way that their mom would look at them. Like she would lean over on the kitchen counter, just like so interested and invested in their lives. Like just, you know, even like silly things too. Like she would just engage with them, and it was just like all in the facial expression, like just so engaged and enthusiastic. Like the squinting of the eyes, like the nodding, and like the smiling and the laughter. And I just felt like so much warmth from that. And I wasn't even jealous or anything. Like I really loved that my friends had that kind of relationship. And they didn't know that I didn't have that with my mother. So um so I always just get like flashes of their mother smiling. And you know, obviously like that's how I wish that I grew up, but it wasn't. And this is, you know, the card that I was dealt with, and it's okay. And you know, honestly, it has made me stronger. It's made me a lot more independent, thankfully, because I could have gone a completely different way, and you know, been really negative and hard on myself, because that does happen to a lot of children who struggle with narcissistic parents. And so I'm just really grateful and thankful that God has always looked out for me, always divinely guided me, to do better for myself, and that he's always watched my situations. And I really pray for anybody out there who is struggling with their narcissistic parents. It is really lonely, but you're not alone. And, you know, if you're not a follower of Jesus Christ or God, the Almighty Heavenly Father, I don't push it on anybody, but I just want to say that it has helped me a lot. And I don't feel alone, like, ever. Even though I am by myself, I know that I'm okay, and like I'm at peace, and that I have all of the tools that I need, because I have God with me every day, day in and day out. So I just wanted to make this video to help anybody who is struggling with a narcissistic parent, specifically a narcissistic mother, especially if your daughter. It can be a really hard situation, because that is supposed to be your feminine role model. And I never had a feminine role model. You know, I had my one of my dad's sisters specifically. He has 3 sisters, but one of them specifically was always a feminine role model for me. And my mom was very jealous of she's always jealous of me looking up to her rather than herself. let me say that again, that way it's more clear. My mother was always very jealous of me looking up to my aunt, rather than looking to her for just like beauty advice and like, things like my mom didn't even teach me how to shave my legs. Like, like, I don't know, it's just like, I just had to learn a lot of things on my own. And I remember the first time I shaved, I did it without anything. I literally just did it with water. So like my legs burned for a good 3 days. And I just remember that. And I remember her being so upset with me. Like, why did you do this without me, without my help? Like, I would have told you, like, don't you know that you're supposed to use soap or like shaving cream? She's like, honey, you're supposed to use shaving cream. It's just like, well, I mean, how the heck do I know that? I'm like 12. Girls are already doing this by now. And like, I don't know. I just, there's just like a lot of things that, I look back at now as an adult in my later 20s. And I mean, I'm 26, so I'm like just on the other side, but like looking back, I see a lot that has happened. And looking back at conversations too, I just noticed like a lot of patterns, and I told myself that I'm not going to entertain this relationship anymore unless it's a visitation with my son. So unless it's a visitation with me taking my son over to her house or to the park or whatever so they can hang out, then that's really it. Other than that, I don't need to have a relationship with her, and God doesn't even say that we are obligated to anybody in the flesh, including our parents. Yes, of course, respect our parents, respect our elders, of course, but that doesn't mean that we need to be completely obligated in a relationship with them or with anybody. And the same thing goes for friends, other family members. Yeah, so I really hope that this video helps guide you to realizing that you're not alone, and realizing that it's okay to let go of a relationship that you had expectations for, but also like since the beginning, it's not like you're gonna tell yourself straight out of the womb like wow, me and my mother are gonna have a great relationship. You don't have an expectation like that. You just kind of like start to see other women's and daughters' relationships, and you start to like compare it to yours and your mother's relationship, and you're like, okay, something's off. Like it's different. There's something different. And then as you start getting older, you just notice that that it wasn't really a relationship that was meant for your life. And so I hope that you can learn how to incorporate that into your purpose, and know that it's only making you stronger. It has only ever made you stronger. And so if you are struggling right now, please know, I'm not going to say please get help, because you already know that, right? And people only get help if they're willing to do so themselves. So, and I know that because I was a previous addict and a recovering depressive disorder patient, I guess you could say. So I'm completely aware of all of that. Like, I was not ready for help or to receive any kind of help or be open to any kind of help until I was willing to do the work myself, for myself, not for anybody else. So I just want to throw in that little tiny tidbit right there. But yeah, if there's anything that I left out, please leave a comment down below, because it'll also help me remember something that I left out, or maybe even learn something new. So I'm super excited to share this with you all. Remember, there is a part 1 to this video, and I'm going to share it in my page along with my other videos. And yeah, I am posting this on Mother's Day. I am a mother myself. I have a 2-year-old son. God bless me for being able to have him, and God bless him for being in my life and welcomed into my life, and for being my son. Yeah, I love you all. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you all have a great day wherever you are, rain or shine, morning, night. Peace be with you. Much love, sending much love and prayer towards your way. Thank God. Thank you, God. Okay. Bye.